My friends, it is good to be back in the saddle. It is Volk actually in the stream and playing a video game. And this video game this time is a fighting game that is near and dear to my heart. It is, of course, Killer Instinct, which was originally released on the Super Nintendo, but not one to do things by halves. I wanted to take things up a notch. And today, I'm going to be playing the arcade version of the game, which has much better graphics, much better sound effects, and is arguably a little bit harder as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and plop some credits in. Let me see, how many will be enough? We'll just do 26 for now. If we need more, we can always put more in. And my character of choice for this excursion is going to be, of course, my favorite from KI1, Galasius.
I would have chose Jago myself.
Yeah, Jago's alright. Actually, Cinder used to be my favorite, but as time's gone on, I've actually grown more accustomed to Galasius.
We are playing Nintendo games for charity for the Child's Play charity, a charity that donates toys and games to children who are stuck in the hospital.
Very good. So, do you have much experience with this here game, Snake?
Very little. I played it at a relative's house, the Super Nintendo version, and I own the 2013 reboot on my computer. So I have very little experience of Killer Instinct, but I do know that they wanted this game to be very loud in arcades so it could grab people's attention.
Yes, and we don't mean loud as in just volume-wise. Like, everything about this game at its very core was made to be audibly loud. Like, the actual audio design was designed to be very much in your face and attention-grabbing. And the actual loudness of the game was somewhat unintentional. They just decided, hey, the arcade cabinet is just going to have the volume set set to loud by default, just to amplify it even more. And this game in the arcade commanded so much attention as a result. Like, if you had one of these in your local arcade, there was no way that you would miss out on it being there. It made its presence known.
You'll remember, it marketed itself as coming to the Nintendo Ultra 64, but that never came to fruition.
No, we did get Killer Instinct Gold, however, which was KI2. See if I can get an ultra combo. Yep, here we go. You didn't really get very many fighting games that just went hambies on the combos.
He's going the distance.
He's going for speed. But the thing is, what I really dug about this game is just how well it was actually ported to the Super Nintendo. Because even though they've had to downgrade the graphics significantly, it still looked absolutely beautiful. And even though they had to compress the sound a little bit, the soundtrack and like the actual sound itself was still very much in your face, much like the arcade cabinet was. And somehow they managed to squeeze all that into a Nintendo cartridge and managed to not even charge anything extra for it. It was just a very well-handled game start to finish.
Did you ever own the Killer Cut CD?
I actually have a physical version of that, and
Nice.
I still actually have it. It is one of my prized treasures.
Also, just let me know whenever you get 15 minutes away from completing the game.
Okay. Well, estimating time in this game can be a bit finicky, because a lot of it can come down to how well or not well behaved Spinal, Fulgore, and Idol are. So when I get to Spinal, I'll sort of make that my warning, and then from there I'll just see what happens.
Yeah, since I never played this game very much, I only know via word of mouth just how, let's say, trying Spinal and the final boss can be.
I'm gonna see if I can get an ultimate combo. No, that didn't do it. Now, as well as ultras, you can also combo into your fatality, which is probably the best way to describe it. But it's a little bit tricky to do.
Are the combos
there we go.
hard? Are the combos that hard to pull off?
Not really. The input in this game, apart from the timing a lot of the time, is very friendly. So you got your special moves, and some special move can go into what we refer to as linkers. So basically you do a move and then press a standard button input, and that will do like a small combo. Then usually you can follow that up with another special move and link that. And then usually your last finishing move will be what will be considered your finisher.
Yeah, I get it now, because the combo system seemed very intimidating, just because of how
when you're
crazy
seeing the numbers, it can very much seem that way, but once you actually get into the meat of the game, it's actually not that intimidating, and it's a very nice way to sort of reward people for sort of figuring out those little nuances and making it generally accessible to everyone.
Yeah, so with Jago, you could basically do an opener with his sword strikes or his air kick or whatever it's called, and mash like medium or light punch a couple times, then just do it again as a linker.
Now the AI is going into a panic mode here, and I'm desperately trying to get a combo off here. There we go. Now, many people actually consider Cinder Galactus' rival, which I can kind of understand because they got the whole fire and ice aesthetic going, but they're not really. I know they did come to blows, and I believe Galactus was the one that was responsible for subduing or killing Cinder, which was why he didn't appear in Killer Instinct 2.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, in fact, Cinder, I believe, was the only character that didn't appear in KI2 that appeared in the original. Oh no, I lied. Thunder was also in that category. But Thunder's, I suppose, trope was actually replaced by Tusk and Maya. Maya being sort of like an Amazoness type person, and Tusk being your sort of Conan the Barbarian ripoff.
Oh yeah, that first one. And that's a female character, right?
Maya's a female character, yes. Tusk is very much male.
Yeah, I remember seeing pictures of her in a magazine or Nintendo Power of someone making their own custom figures of them.
Indeed, indeed. Although it would have been nice to have like a female equivalent of Tusk, because then you can kind of pull into the whole Red Sonja trope. For those who don't know, Red Sonja was pretty much the female counterpart to Conan. Now, there's usually at this point the AI starts to get a little bit on the unfair side. They will break your combos with very little to no resistance at all, so usually you have to sort of steer away from the large combos that you might usually rely on, and instead sort of throw out fierce punches, keep your combos short and sweet, throw in some extra damage where you can.
In this game, there are combo breakers that you can do unlimited times, but that's a discrepancy between this game and the reboot, that you have to match the strength of someone's attack.
Well, it's not so much matching, like, it's a bit of a rock, paper, scissors thing. So, if I remember correctly, the general gist of it is, if someone's throwing light attacks on you, you break it with a fierce attack. If someone's coming out with a medium attack, you use a light attack, and then fierces are dealt with medium attacks. I don't remember the exact, like, denominations of those, but it's something to that effect. Come on, Jay. Let me punch you in the face.
I'm gonna check on donations here.
Boom, boom. See, I literally only just did my linker, and the opponent broke my combo pretty much instantaneously. But I was actually able to get a break off my own that time. But
nice.
We're both on low health, so it could get dicey. Come on. There we go. Oh, no! Ah, phew! It took me ages to get the attack off for some reason, and he managed to recover. Yeah, combo breakering the AI is actually fairly difficult. Unless there is a way to, like there's a cheat sheet or something that I don't know about, there might be, but I haven't seen it yet, personally.
I thought special moves in this game were used as combo breakers.
Not necessarily, but I mean, the special move is responsible for the breaks, but the input is usually different. Like, for Galasius, it's actually his arm blade. Now, to do the arm blade normally is a full half circle back and quick punch. Yet for the combo breaker, it's actually just simply back, forward, and then any of the punch buttons, depending on whether you're trying to break a light attack, a medium attack, or a fierce attack.
I see.
Yeah, if I go quiet momentarily, it's because I'm sort of like in focus mode, but I will try and be as entertaining as I can in the meantime. And see if we can time this right. Nope. I flubbed the actual special move to try and get the last juggle off. And we are now at Spinal, Fulgore, and Idol. So this will be where a lot of the difficulty is going to start coming in. So don't be surprised if I die a lot. Equally, be very surprised if I don't. This could be a Guilty Gear situation all over again, where I just blast through it all first try. But yeah, Spinal does not play around.
Apparently.
Yeah, that sort of thing is not unusual. Fulgore is more or less the same deal.
So are Spinal and Fulgore like the final, one of the final characters you fight normally?
Yes. Spinal's always the third to last. Fulgore's usually always the second to last. And Idol's your final boss.
Yeah. Idol, I remember him.
Now, Idol is very annoying, but I'll get more into that later, because I'll be stuck on him for a while, and it'll give me plenty to talk about. Oh yeah, another thing to note that you don't have throws in this game quite yet. I don't think throws were introduced until KI2.
Huh.
And it may not even be then. It might not even be until KI3.
Seems weird that there'd be a fighting game that had no throws.
Yeah, but for some reason you don't really miss them.
I guess if you don't really throw characters that much in fighting games.
Well, I mean, the crux of the game is to focus on just the immense combos you could do. Like, not even Mortal Kombat really had that going for it. Usually the maximum you could do was like a 6-hit, or at least that's the maximum I could usually do, and that was with Cyrax. They didn't really get into, like, immense combos until... Probably not at least until Mortal Kombat, I want to say 9? But they kind of alluded to that they might be going in that direction somewhat when they introduced the brutality finisher, where the guy just beats you up so much and so quickly you literally explode. it was my favorite finishing move in all the Mortal Kombat franchise.
I think for me it would always be a striker blowing you up with dynamite, just because it's so stupid.
Oh, my favorite was Robot Smokes from Mortal Kombat 3, where he just blows up the world.
That one is also great.
I love it. Come on. Come at me, bro. You know you want to. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have goaded him.
So I think Mortal Kombat has a thing with combos started off around with Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, because that game's combo system is broken.
Yeah, because that had, like, the aggressor system as well, I believe.
Yeah, in Trilogy.
Where, I don't know what happens. I think it just speeds up your attacks or something like that, or just generally makes your character faster.
It speeds your character up, increases your strength for a bit. Yes. So how much do you enjoy the reboot?
Oh, I love the reboot. I actually did a spot a PC on it several years back. It is an incredibly fun game. Well worth checking.
It is.
It's one of those ones that sort of like start off as a free-to-play with like a randomly rotating character every so often. And the full game itself, I think, is only, what, 25 quid or so? It can't be much more than that.
I paid about 20 for the full game on PC.
Oh, I could have finished him off right there. There we go. Just clubbed him around the back of the skull. Alright.
Oh, there you go.
So that's one of the big 3 down. But now we gotta do Fulgor.
Yes,
oh yeah,
Tarek,
if you need a reason to buy KI free, Rash from Battletoads is in the game. Like, what other reason do you need apart from that?
Well, there's also the Arbiter. I mean...
Oh, I love the Arbiter.
There's... Still, the Battletoads take precedent.
My 3 favorite characters in KI free in no particular order was Cinder, Argonos, and... Oh, who would I put as my 3rd? I think it's so many nicely designed characters.
Oh, Ran, that's the... Isn't that the Japanese character that is like the girl from The Grudge or something like that?
No, General Ram is from Gears of War.
Oh, okay. Oh, Hisako, that's the name of the character that I was thinking of.
Oh yeah, Hisako's pretty cool.
I played a couple rounds with a friend of mine, and actually ended up doing an ultra combo, but completely by accident.
Ooh, that did some damage. Oh, we can get some more. Oh, nope. I fear we only made him angry. I was never really a fan of Kim Woo. Well, she got a decent redesign, at least.
I have no idea who Kim Woo is.
She was in Killer Instinct 2.
Oh, okay.
Here we go. Ultra your ass!
Yes!
Alright. And now... we get to Idol, who is... I'm not sure how highly I put him up there as far as unfair bosses is concerned, but he is pretty high up there.
I imagine it's basically overclocking SNK boss syndrome.
Not quite. It gets a bit worse than that, because he actually recovers his health. So the idea is that if he ever chips you up in the air, he'll do this kind of stomp, and anytime he does that, he recovers his health. Not to mention, he will combo break you about 95% of the time. So you can't really pull off like any particularly meaty combos, otherwise he just goes apeshit on you. I'd say he's definitely worse than Mortaro. Like, no question he is worse than Mortaro. I have fought Mortaro several times.
Shao Kahn isn't as bullcrap as Mortaro is.
No, Shao Kahn is just strong, but he didn't like have anything like dangerously busted about him. He's just the kind of guy that, obviously when he hits you hard, so you can't afford to get hit a lot. Idol doesn't hit that much harder than Spinal and Fulgor. It's literally just the health recovery that does you in. Because he can literally erase like 2 solid combos worth of work. Yeah, breakering this guy is also pretty difficult from my experience. I've never once been able to do it. Like, I've broken AI on occasion, but it's not the easiest thing in the world to do to begin with. Come on, get over it. I think he's onto me.
You just have to get him into a predictable pattern.
He doesn't really have, like, a pattern per se, although his charge attack is fairly decently telegraphed, so he can sometimes take advantage of that, but it's like I said, you have to do that multiple times without him kind of getting a decent response, otherwise all your hard work just gets erased.
You just notice the amount of health he recovered in that moment. Holy crap.
He's also got decent reach as well, which kind of makes him hard to poke him out. Not impossible, but just very, very difficult. You have to be pretty much on the ball. But yeah, don't be surprised if I get stuck on this guy for a while. I gave myself an hour estimate for a reason. Sometimes it don't need the entire hour, but most of the time I do. Now, I managed to get a combo breaker of my own, so I'm not sure if I'll be able to make much use of that, but I'm gonna damn well try. It may not work.
Can't you use and abuse that if he combos you?
Not necessarily, no. Come on, if I can chip him.
Oh, there you go.
Go on. Oh no.
There we go.
Although now I've got to take away the other half of his health, which is way easier said than done.
Mm-hmm.
Oh! Alright, we got pretty close that time.
You know, probably would have considered.
This isn't Arcade Fighter, Kyrex. Quarter reading is the name of the game.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much. This is actually 1994 difficulty, I think.
Yeah. I think KI2 was a little bit merciful because I didn't have nearly the same amount of trouble as I did fighting Gargos back in the day.
Yeah, so basically, it's pretty much SNK boss syndrome.
Yeah, more or less. No, you stop that. Ow.
Oh my gosh, that is...
Yeah, the trouble is, if he gets stuck in the ready screen as well, he just carries on.
There we go.
Alright, back to the halfway point again.
It's like 50% of your health.
Like I said, this isn't anything I'm prepared for. Or I'm not prepared for, rather, should I say. Just requires a little energon and a lot of luck. I like that just like the idea of jumping just somehow infuriates him. Just like, how dare you!
Only
but yes, this is the final boss of the game. It just might take a while.
Mm-hmm. What was that?
Oh, you can actually stun Idol eventually if you hit him with enough just regular attacks.
Oh, okay.
Basically, there is a stun system in the game, and usually how it works is like 3 or 4 fierce attacks without having like a response will actually put him into a stun state, and you can kind of wail on him. Alright, so I've broken twice now, which is leaving me to wonder if there is, like, a specific button that helps, but I'll have to continue experimenting and work it out as I go along, because I've never actually been able to break him. That was never a thing that I considered a possibility. But seeing as I've done it twice now during the live stream, it's making me wonder if there is something to it. I mean, truth be told, this boss would be difficult enough without the healing factor, but the healing factor does make it, like, dangerously unfair.
I don't remember the roster for KI3, but
it's pretty big.
Isn't he a character in the game?
What was that?
Isn't Idol a KI3 character?
Yes, he is.
Well, or...
Both Idol and Gargos are both in the game. Although Idol in KI3 is very, very different to the Idol here.
Mm-hmm. I bet.
He's actually sort of like, there's two heads that represent like two separate personalities, and you can activate them separately, but he has a trigger that lets him control both at the same time. So like one head is like your like brute force berserker type, and the other head is sort of like your spellcaster. Which I actually thought was a really interesting way of doing Idol. Oh, you bitch! Oh! We got him, boys!
Nice!
I should have tried to uppercut him. You could actually uppercut him off the bridge. But of course, when you're in that moment and you get him into that state, you just throw out whatever you can. Don't piss around. I like how he just clubs himself around the head. Just like, oh, my failure! And there he is, lying as a molten heap on our feet. In KI2, you actually get a slightly different ending depending on who you use finishing moves on. And in his best ending, he actually finds a ship with the coordinate to like where his home... Because he goes back home, but there's no one there. So KI2 Glacius comes back to try and find his people again.
No,
and depending on who you kill, or rather who you get alter combos and who you know mercy, you can actually make it so that he finds like where his home people are, and he actually goes back to that planet. So he actually finds where all his people have been hiding, and they kind of make a new life for themselves. So
nice.
So I mean, many people actually misunderstand Glacius. He's not actually a bad guy. He's just, he looks like a scary alien, but he's got a good heart, really. He just wants to find his people.
KI3 also has a story mode as well. Is it comparable to Mortal Kombat, or is it Street Fighters?
I would say somewhere in between. I haven't had a chance to mess around with it too much, but it's got plenty of modes to it, so KI3 has a lot going for it in that regard. But yeah, it does have some story elements. Obviously, they pick up a bit from where KI2 left off, and they add a few extra bits in there, like they include some stuff from the Killer Instinct comics as well. Yeah, basically Tanner says there's a bit of text between battles that sort of give you some lore injections every now and then.
Okay.
But yes, that was Killer Instinct. It was quite the romp. I managed to kill Idol. Apparently KI3 is just a soft reboot. I didn't think it was a continuation. So, my mistake. Anyway, that was Killer Instinct. If you have any interest at all in the game, how fleeting it might be, I would definitely recommend checking out Killer Instinct 3. You can pick it up on the Xbox, Steam, or Microsoft Store, depending on what version of the game you would prefer. And if you're just interested in the game in general, there is an amazing documentary available on YouTube that's well worth watching. It's an hour and a half long, but it basically gives you the entire history of KI back during KI 1 and 2, and gives you a lot of background on KI 3 itself and how they came about designing that. It's a really, really well-made documentary, and anyone who likes their video game history would be doing themselves a great injustice by not seeing it. But I'm going to sign off for now so that Mr. N. Tom can make a start on his game, which I believe is a banjo game of some description. Could you give me a little bit more info on that, Snake?
Yeah, let me pull up the list and the schedule. It is Banjo-Kazooie Gruntilda's Revenge, I believe. Yeah, Grunty's Revenge.
Hell yeah! Alright, well, stay tuned for that. I am signing off for now. Thank you very much for having me. I will be back later in the marathon for F-Zero X, so I shall see you then. Take care!